The New Zealand rabbit. There are 5 distinct New Zealand rabbit varieties that are recognized by ARVA. The New Zealand red. The foundation and early development. The New Zealand red rabbit holds a unique place in American rabbit breeding history. Though its name suggests an origin in New Zealand, the breed was largely developed in the United States during the early 1900s, with dedicated fanciers in California and Indiana playing pivotal roles. Charles S. Gibson, founder of the National Pet Stock Association of America, established in 1910, was among the earliest to document the breed in his 1916 publication, Breeding and Care of Rabbits for Exhibition and Market. Gibson described the New Zealand Red's origins as somewhat mysterious, with California breeders claiming their initial stock came from sailors returning from New Zealand ports. Official correspondent from New Zealand's Department of Agriculture confirmed the existence of rabbits matching this description, lending credibility to the idea that similar stock may have originated or at least existed there prior to U.S. development. According to the American Federation of New Zealand Rabbit Breeders guidebook, the breed is an American as apple pie. Gibson also wrote, the New Zealand red rabbit is said to have been brought to California by sailors from New Zealand. While the exact origin remains unclear, rabbits matching the breed's description were well known in New Zealand, notably in the Otago region, where they were called Scotch rabbits due to their Scottish ancestry. The first recorded New Zealand red foundation stock in the United States was imported by John Henry Snyder of San Francisco in 1906, who returned from New Zealand with 4 does and a buck. Another breeder, Mr. Henry of Los Angeles, also imported a substantial number shortly afterwards. These early imports sparked both interest and skepticism among American fanciers. The foundation Scotch rabbits were smaller and mealier in coat than the rabbits that they were bred up from in the Americas. Much was done to refine the breed to where it sits today, a far cry from the original imports. Gibson noted the breed's early challenges. At first, New Zealand Reds were somewhat rough in type, their color uneven, and many had ticking or white hairs which made them undesirable for exhibition. However, their rapid growth and meat qualities quickly won favor among breeders. The first standard was written in 1916 by C.P. Gilmore and Charles S. Gibson and adopted by the National New Zealand Red Club and the National Pet Stock Association. Before that, in 1915, New Zealand Reds were to be judged similarly to Flemish Giants due to the lack of specific standard. Red sports were originally selected from Belgian hares with added size from the Flemish Giants. The so-called Golden Fawn, often mentioned in earlier accounts, was likely just a colored sport of the Belgian hare. C.P. Gilmore, Charles Gibson, and others successfully resisted attempts to rename the breed American Red. In 1916, following a vote that heavily favored keeping the name New Zealand, as C.P. Gilmore described in the New Zealand Red Rabbit and Rabbit Culture book from 1917. When we first introduced this rabbit to the fancy, we were met with the usual opposition that always greets anything new. In April 1915, M.H. Baring, an early breeder, published an article in Domestic Pets asserting that the 1906 import date, which drew sharp criticisms from those who believed the New Zealand Red was simply a renamed Sport Belgium or Golden Fawn. In response, Branning contacted Mr. Jas Duncan, acting director of Agriculture in New Zealand, and received an official reply. The description you give of the rabbit coincides with the rabbit we know in this part, an Otago rabbit. Gilmore added that these original animals were of much lighter color than the ones that we have today. There are almost 4 shades between the ones of 4 years ago and the ones of today. They also weighed about 7 pounds, but were extremely hardy and healthy. He emphasized the genetic stability of the line, noting, "A purebred New Zealand's will never throw sports, as do other crossed or made rabbits." Note, a sport was defined as an animal of different color than its parents. This exchange between early breeders and the government officials abroad highlights how the breed's murky but rich history bridges both importation and domestic refinement. It is likely that the New Zealand Red developed in the United States from imported pre-existing Scottish-derived stock that had become established in New Zealand by the late 19th century. Thus, while the breed was formalized and standardized in America, its earliest foundation may well trace to hardy meat rabbits originally shipped from Scotland to the Southern Hemisphere. Gilmore, the first president of the National New Zealand Club, established in 1916, which is the precursor to the American Federation of New Zealand Rabbit Breeders, co-authored the first standard of perfection for the breed alongside Gibson. The standard was officially adopted in 1916. Gilmore also promoted the breed through a correspondence course in his 1917 book, The New Zealand Red Rabbit and Rabbit Culture, available on archive.org. New Zealand Reds were simultaneously developed in California and Indiana by crossing breeds such as Belgian Hares, Flemish Giants, and aiming for rapid growth with the ideal meat type. Gilmore enthusiastically described the breed's appeal. They are Gilmore's red wonder, among the most beautiful of breeds. Their bright reddish buff coloring, big hazel eyes, and handsome type make them much admired rabbits. He further emphasized their utility. The New Zealand Reds are, strictly speaking, business rabbits for general or utility purposes. At the present time, they are the most popular rabbit in the country. Despite the murky history, the New Zealand quickly gained recognition for its meat qualities, which the first specimens appearing in America shows around 1909. Early New Zealand Reds were often described as rough in type color and resembling a dirty piece of canvas, with many having undesirable white hairs, ticking black hairs on the hindquarter, and short ears with lacing. These traits have since been bred out through decades of careful selection. Early breeders such as C.P. Gilmore, Miss C.A. Ritchie, Hale Parther, Caldwell Brose, and F.M. Youngs invested significant effort to improve the breed's type and color, overcoming early skepticism and criticism. At one point during 1915 to 1916, some breeders attempted to rename the New Zealand to the American Red, but a decisive vote in 1916 by the New Zealand Club and National Association preserved the breed's original name. In addition to setting the breed's standard, early fanciers emphasized selecting bucks and does with good type and color, recommending against breeding stock with small heads, short ears, or any white or black hairs, as these traits negatively impacted the offspring quality. The New Zealand Red was the first American rabbit widely exported to other countries, including Hawaii and Japan, and its legacy endures as a cornerstone of commercial meat rabbit breeding worldwide. By 1922, the Reds were very much established, and the Federation of New Zealand Rabbit Breeders had solidified the standard. In the same year, Edward H. Stall sang their praises in the pamphlet titled Common Set Rabbit Raising. The four breeds that were in the lead at the time were the Belgian Hare, the New Zealand Red, the Flemish Giant, and the American Blue. The breed standards set forth by the National New Zealand Red Rabbit Club adopted nationally and laid out detailed requirements. Head, full shapely, especially in bucks with color matching the body and minimal white in the jaw. Ears, erect, medium thick, 5 to 5.5 inches long, color matching the body, free from black lacing. Eyes, large, bright hazel with a little white eye circle as possible. Color, a rich reddish buff or bright reddish buff, solid over the body extending in the hindquarters, and feet free from black or white hairs. Belly color should be reddish cream. Body shape, medium long and broad fore and hindquarters. Does with even dewlaps. The shape balances between the sleek Belgian Hare and the heavy Flemish Giant. A compact muscular frame ideal for meat production. Weight, bucks typically 9 pounds and does 10 pounds at maturity. Legs and feet, strong, straight, medium bone, feet colored to match the body. Condition, full coat, solid flesh, and healthy.